I'm Bear
Welcome.
Degidio. We are back on the Full Experience podcast. Not new to Tyler Harmon, as apparently he was just on one. Don't know what show that was though. But we are here with the one and only Tyler Harmon. What's popping?
What's up, Bear? Doing good, man. How are you doing?
Good, good, good. It's exciting to have you on this podcast. I know, in all honesty, it's cool and it's different that paintball community right now has a lot of media and exposure on it. So in one way or another, that's healthy for the sport and it's great for everybody. Those podcast names is a whole other story. We don't need to get into that, but it's things and you're giving players the ability to learn about you. So in that note, I do salute you with all the effort you've been putting into media. I just wanted to podcast saying that.
Yeah, I mean, we need more paintball. We need as much as we can possibly give this sport. It's already such a small sport to begin with. We can't have people hacking away at it from the inside when it's so small already. So we need to all definitely support each other. Anybody who's playing paintball or putting out paintball media, thank you for everything that you're doing for the game because it's going to take all of us in order to get this sport to the next frontier.
100%. And speaking of the, I want to dive into this and approach this podcast in a different light. Maybe for the players that haven't really experienced you or the players that haven't got the chance to meet pro players, guys that have been playing at their local fields, trying to take it to the next level. Tyler Harmon, right now, what do you think is the biggest factor of why you are such a dominant pro paintball player in the league today?
I mean, I've been playing professionally for 20 years. I've been able to pick the minds of the greatest players that have ever played this game. And I love what I do. Most importantly, I thoroughly enjoy the process of training for paintball, of playing the game of paintball. And I love this community. You know, we are so fortunate to be a part of this sports community. It's a game like no other. The people in the sport are like no other. And I think that the youth, as we can see, they're really picking up paintball guns and starting to go out and play and have fun. I think as we move forward, we're going to see a lot of players start to develop at the local fields. And major shout out to all the pros who just show up and play paintball for the love of the game. Not on scheduled practice days, not on all these regimented things where you have to be places, but going out and nurturing your local fields and making sure that those players, because I know it had a tremendous effect on me when I was a kid, being able to see the Ironman Dynasty, excessive, all these teams, and be able to pick their brain and have that one-on-one interaction. So we got to really nurture that as we move forward.
Amazing. And we heard you talk on other podcasts and we've heard you do interviews and you have an amazing show with Marcelo. And I really love what you and Marcelo do. And I think you guys are not
Yeah, we
only
need you on the show, bro. Immediately.
I don't cross pollinate shows. But listen, I think it's amazing what you do in all honesty. And I think it's amazing that you and Marcelo do it together, even though you're not on different teams or that you're on different teams now and you guys weren't, originally.
Yeah.
Going back to square one, so people know your story, but I want to ask it in a different light. What made the Bob Long experience, and don't give me this top level shelf answer, what made the Bob Long experience so insane? Because I met you at that age, and I was watching you as a little minion, and we've all seen the clips of Bob yelling at you, telling you to reload before you're not good enough. I saw the clip. I remember one of the most dynamic clips I've ever seen in paintball history is Bob grabbing you, yelling at you, saying, you reload before you move into the snake. You don't reload when you get there. And I always remember that for the rest of my paintball career. Tell me what that Bob Long experience was like, because he doesn't get enough shine.
Yeah, man. Bob is such an icon in this sport. He poured his whole entire existence, his being into creating those guns, creating that culture, that crazy Oakland Assassins culture that we saw in the early 2000s. And I didn't even know what I was stepping into. I'm just a Valley kid from Modesto playing at Extreme Paintball. Major shout out to Rich Telford and everything that they did for me as well. But like, I got an opportunity. I was playing with Twisted, landed a tryout with Oakland. I didn't know exactly what I was getting into. I was just like, okay, I'm going pro. This is the local pro. This is where I'm headed. And when I got on the team, it was a major shock. I mean, because these guys were light years ahead of me, obviously. I was 13 years old when I got on the team. And then they were bad asses, dude. Like, these guys were not to be played with at all. Zero play time. And they let me know that immediately. I got checked right off the break. And they were relentless on their pursuit to make me better at paintball. Whether it was polite or not, I was headed in a direction, and they were gonna make sure I knew the lessons. So it was a really special thing. I'm not entirely sure that kind of environment would exist anymore today. This is 20 years ago, but I'm super grateful for that environment and for Bob Long and the whole Assassins camp and just the game and the culture at that time was insane.
Now you had the pimp, you had Mark Jones, you had Arnold Francisco, you had all these crazy X factors on your team that truly were
Pepe,
X factors.
Quincy,
Pepe, Quincy, and you
yep,
had a bunch of people. Josh Davey at one point, I believe.
Davey,
So you had
yep.
some crazy talent. Who was the best player? Oh, that's Todd Martinez trying to phone in the middle of the podcast. Shout out to Todd Martinez.
Get
What
Cash
was
Money in here.
what was it like playing with those players, and who was the best player you ever played with on the Oakland Assassins?
Oh, dude, it was a dream come true, man. The whole lineup was star-studded. Like you said, we also had like Riley, LJ Marquez, Danny Miller, Josh, Chris Wilson, and there was just a plethora of star athletes. But honestly, LJ Marquez was legitimately one of the best players I've ever seen play. When I first got on the team, the way he was able to navigate a field and read situations and communicate and like just I don't know, like assert his dominance on the field because he was a rowdy dude, and he had no sweat gland. He could not sweat.
I
So
remember
we had
that.
a lake. We had a lake by the house. We would play at Bob's house. We had the field over here, the shop where we'd build all of our stuff. We had this lake, and he would literally have to go and jump in the lake, come out like a swamp monster, just dripping wet, right back onto the field, start running people down. But it was just a crazy environment with a bunch of like really go-getters, that were just hungry savages.
What was the most dynamic tool Bob Long ever gave you as a player? Was it mental? Was it a fully automatic Bob Long gun? Was it, teaching you how to run and cheat and slide in the snake? Was it teaching you how to boss up on people? What is it?
Um, I think it's just that fire inside that Bob had, dude. Like he would yell at us and you could feel how much he cared, and that made me really care. I cared about paintball, with all of my fiber, all of my being, because I saw how much these guys were putting into it. And as a kid, like I said, I got on that team when I was 13, 14 years old. It was insane to get that culture shock and be woke up like that. Obviously, the way that he attacked the field and drew up game plans as well. That guy was one of the best game planners you'll ever meet. And really, he would think about, I know what I'm going to do. I know I'm headed here. I'm going to use this play. How is this team going to beat me? How are these guys going to, take me off my path? So he would really walk us through all that and teach us how to game plan as well.
Speaking of game plans, what's one of the best things for up and coming players that they can know and for teams as well on looking at a field?
Yep. Find out where I call it like the honey hole, where are you going to go to get all the production? Where am I going to get paid at? I'm looking for the bank. Like, where's the bank on the field? You know what I mean? Like, you got to find that spot that is going to give you your production. There's typically going to be 2, 3 spots on the field that are going to give you that production. And then it's leveraging yourself to be able to control that productive spot and also utilize it as well because it's a two-way street. I got to get in there, but I also have to keep people from getting in there. So you have to really work through all those and set up game plans as a cohesive unit with, don't try to do things by yourself. Use all your assets around you. That way you guys can communicate and lock up fields, but definitely finding those spots and then work on your gunfighting. Do one-on-ones. Like go out there, play against the best player and get your head bashed in by this guy. Like go out, or girl, whoever, just go out and play paintball one-on-ones and play a lot of those because every altercation you get into is a one-on-one. So if you become proficient at that, you're really going to give yourself an advantage on the field.
Now, last question about Bob, because I think that was a huge, I would say probably one of the biggest moments in your paintball career. It's where you came out of your shell. You were this small little scrawny kid no one cared about, and then you became the most valued player in the league, and you were the most prized possession everybody wanted. Who was the best team that you loved playing against growing up at Bob Long's house with the zoo inside of his living room?
Damn, I would have to say like Cap and Avalanche because that was when we had the OG Avalanche with like Lasoya on the team, and Cap had Dave Baines and Brian Duffy, J Lo, Jason Locke, Roy Richards. The list goes on of how many studs were on that team, but there were some rowdy practices with those guys, and things would get crazy. But it's just all family. It's all love for paintball. We also had Dynasty out there a lot. Those were really fun practices. It was like a North versus South battle royale out there, and Zach Long would bring out the Imperial and make sure we had the best paint.
And
It
moving
was
into today's time, over the course of your 20 years, speaking about practices, who's the best team that you felt you always got the best practices out of, or back in the day?
yeah. Obviously, X Factor, Impact, Dynasty. You're always going to get good practices out of those guys. And that's in like the modern era. I guess back in the day, um, we had some fun practices against like the Stoned Assassins. I don't know, just like going down to SoCal and playing against those guys. Um, I don't know. There was a lot of teams back in the day because there was two leagues, so it was a little different playing the two different formats and practicing for
Mm-hmm.
each of them. But it was
And speaking of the formats, which one did you like the best at that time? Because you actually got to play both at the height of both leagues, MPPL
yeah.
and NXL.
Yep. I really appreciated the NPPL because it didn't have the coaching at the time. At that time, the X Ball had the coaching, and I felt like that kind of took away a little bit of what makes paintball special. Like if I make a dope move and nobody sees it, and I get to thread the seam, and some guy's just like, "Hey, he's coming!" It's like, oh, okay, I guess it's all in vain. But now it's tight. X Ball is obviously no coaching, but 7-man, those tournaments were pretty insane, going heads up with Dynasty in their heyday and all that kind of stuff.
Now, a quick little story going into another league I think we forget to talk about is Tom Cole's Woods Ball League. I picked you
Dude,
up
let
in
them know.
I picked you up in Mesquite. We were in the red Hummer that I took from Geo for the weekend. A guy pulls a gun on us.
Manuel.
A guy pulls a gun on us in the parking lot in the casino. We did a few laps. You lost your mind and went cuckoo bird and tried to chase down the guy with the gun in the parking lot. I flipped the U. The guy comes charging. We almost ran him over. And I'm going to just say that was probably one of the best events I've ever played in, as well as in the finals. I took a nice little 10 count with you and Bob Long Ironman over there.
Dude, shout out to Manuel, bro. That was insanity. And major shout out to Tom Cole and everything that he did with the UWL. We won some chips together, boy. We had some
We,
fun out there.
Can we be honest with the podcast right now? Your
Yeah.
favorite Woods Ball events, besides the one where I got in a fight with Dynasty at SC Village, and I got locked out of my room and at the other event.
Oh, boy.
But you went back to back to back championships in Tom Cole's Woods Ball League with me by your side, did we not?
Yes, we did. We did. Yeah, we had a crew. We had a whole crew. We had, Bob Long was even out there with the he was mowing down bushes. People were afraid to go into the bushes because he was cutting them down out there. But we've definitely had some fun playing some ball, man.
And we won some championships. I've also spent a lot of time with you overseas, and I've
Yep.
watched you just dominate the European market. I watched you smash people when you actually played that event, I think on Hulk in Germany. And I was smashing Marcelo and
Oh
Mouse.
boy.
I was on Scorpion Milanos, and Marcelo had a full meltdown because he's screaming at everybody, "I can't believe you let Bear shoot me." And I remember that quote because the whole sidelines was going nuts because I was talking real loud. I was Europe's most wanted at the time. I think that's in my old day when I was a little too cocky back then for no reason.
When are we gonna have you back out on the pro field, dude? Let's get this going.
Well, half the internet thinks I never even played pro paintball, so I don't know, man. Maybe we should ask Facebook since everybody has a comment.
Yeah, you definitely have played pro paintball and you do know how to play paintball. We got to get you back into some type of program and get you out and get you stunting, man. Have some fun, play some ball.
So speaking of one-on-ones, let's transition into that. You're probably the best one-on-one player paintball's ever seen. I would take you over Oliver. I would take you over Alex. I would take you over Ryan. I would take you over Fedorov or Mishka, who are some of the most skilled and structured players. The reason why is it's a simple word, dynamic. You play all parts of the field. You're fast. You shoot with both hands. You can jump over a tall can, which was one of my favorite photos of you. And I say that respectfully because the players I just listed you with are the sport's best players ever.
Yeah.
So
And
what is
honestly,
it that makes it
it
so special?
it's any given day, bro. I'm so human, and I'm like I said, I'm so human, dude, and I have the utmost respect for my peers, and I know that my peers can also take me down at any moment. We play a lot of paintball, and it's something where you got to show up and you got to own it. You got to if you want something, you got to take it. You got to make it yours, no matter what it is. So if you're gonna have something happen, then you got to wear that. You got to put it on your shoulders and make sure that that's yours. And it's all love for this sport, dude. I really do work, I mean, just as hard, if not harder, than anybody in this game to make sure that my craft is on point. I care about the little details. I care about, making sure that I play well for my organization and as a player, of course. But it's just, really honing in on that. And I get lucky too. Sometimes you send a lucky shot, it just goes your way. But
I
I
love
I have I have definitely worked really hard to be a dynamic gunfighter and make sure that I can assert my will out there when I need to.
humble in defeat, glorious in victory. You've always been. Moving into this next phase of your career, one thing I wanted to talk about is obviously a lot of people talk about pro paintball players, and if you're a pro paintball player, you know what it takes, and you also know about how the sample size of players that actually win is very small in our sport. It's probably
Yeah,
20 or 30 players still playing have ever won an event. The rest just come and go, and it's always going to be like that because of the barrier to entry and how a guy like Ryan Greenspan could play for 25 years or you for 20 years. Myself, I've been playing since I was 8. It's not like that anymore, right? And we've got the chance to play at the highest competitive level. What is a structured meat and potatoes, don't give me fluff, agenda for your daily, weekly routine, like your Monday through Friday, to keep you as a pro paintball player at the top of your game?
of course. Nonstop media. I'm always, ingesting as much as I can about. I watch a lot of Go Sports on my TV, so I'll just have that playing throughout the day. Always being on my A game with health. I got my Garden of Life sweatshirt on right here. Shout out to Garden of Life taking care of me. They give me all the supplements and like all the powders and
Do
everything
you
I
think
need. And
supplements are needed to play pro paintball?
I definitely think it gives you a nice little edge. I'm not talking, mine are all plant-based. So that's what Garden of Life is. It's just a completely plant-based company. And I definitely take like the veggie powders, the protein powders,
Is it true that you take H steroids? Someone said
absolutely
that a
not.
while back, that's why you're always healthy and fast.
No,
I
I
am
work
serious,
really,
honestly. That's I've heard this through the market. That's
no,
why you're always so lean. No, is that off the
I'm not,
market?
I'm not that guy. I work really hard, dude. I
Okay, so
don't
we're gonna
cheat.
take that off the table because that's
Yeah.
rumor. That's a
Yeah,
rumor.
no.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I just work really hard on my health. I'm at the gym. I have a gym that I could spit to, so I run to the gym. I got a paintball field that I could spit to. I just run over there. I go during the week, I go on the weekends, and you just have to be playing. You have to be applying yourself, like take your health seriously. If you really want to be faster, if you want to, the reason I'm able to make my bunker or make these cuts off the break where another individual gets shot off the break is because I'm just that half step quicker. I'm just that step quicker, and in this game, when those paintballs are going 200 miles an hour downrange, trying to eliminate you off the
Mhm,
break, that half
mhm.
step is everything. So really dialing in on that and then just playing a ton of paintball, like really invest yourself on picking up the marker, putting paint in the loader, go out to the field, shoot paint. It doesn't matter if you're doing 1-on-1s, 5-on-5, 2-on-2, 10-on-10. I don't care. In the woods, out the woods, go play paintball because it's going to make you better. You're going to pick up some kernel of knowledge from any aspect of the game that you play that'll help you no matter what situation you get into on a field.
Now, what is one of the best drills you can recommend to players trying to get to that pro level? So I'm talking guys even in semi-pro that could take value from this.
Yeah. Um, it's all communication. Honestly, it's information. You have to process information quicker than the other team. If I'm able to process quicker, I make the move first, I get the drop on you, I put the shot where it needs to go, I get that elimination, I send the information back to my team, they get the information, they're able to make moves and lock things up appropriately off of that, but it all stems from you really caring about information. And listening is just as important, Like if we're all yelling, we're just wasting the air kind of. We have to make sure that, maybe two guys out of the five are not yelling. Maybe they're just quiet for the first 15 seconds and then let these three guys, feed them information. And if you have something important, send it back. But we need to have a really constructive way of breaking the field down so we can process information quickly because that is the bread and butter of how the top teams win events every time.
Amazing. Now, speaking of bread and butter, everybody that
Shout
watched,
out to bread and butter.
so
Oh,
you know
man.
how we move. Everybody that watched, your last podcast, which was cool. It was minimal. It wasn't anything crazy, but I think you did a great job. But speaking of that, you talked about a few different things. And we all know you left Dynasty. We all know your career. I don't think people need to know that. If they need to know that, they can go on appa.com and Google search the teams you played on. I don't think that it's that interesting. But there are some moves you made that have been interesting because of the outcomes of those moves, not because you made the moves. Like you left Dynasty, they were not doing so hot. A lot of people could say you left because they were going downhill. You go to the strongest team in the league, in my opinion, roster wise, and then Dynasty goes and mows everybody down. Why is it that you couldn't make the impact you were making on Dynasty on Houston Heat? Not that you didn't play good, but
Well,
you're
I
a
don't
player.
think that that's necessarily true. We had just won the world title, the World Cup championship, and the series title a tournament before.
Who?
So, Dynasty won 2020.
Yeah, but they were falling apart when you left. That's why you left.
No, that is not why I left. And they were not falling apart. Dynasty is doing better than they've ever done. And
Yeah, when you left, Dynasty decided to become Dynasty again, but you left, and you're a player that
I don't know why that is. I don't know why it is that happened when I left, that they decided to do things different. I don't know what happened. It's all speculation to me. But
I mean, just so we're clear, I'm saying this because you're a player that I know can go to a team and make a team win. You're a player.
We won the first event that I went and played with. Heat won that very next event that I went and played.
And then you guys fell apart.
Well, we took two top. I don't think falling apart is the word. No, we played.
I mean, if you don't win, you're Tyler Harmon, you're falling apart.
Absolutely right. If you don't win, you're coming short of the goal.
With your team, I believe your team or Impact should have won every event. I don't think Dynasty's roster should have won any events. They're not that on paper.
That shows you something. What does that show you? That what I've been talking about this whole time is the cornerstone of it all is connectivity, right? I do believe that the way Dynasty played those last couple events was the most connected paintball that you will see played. The way that they.
Why is that?
They're having, I don't know, they're having good conversations, and it's top to bottom. You can't have anything out of sync. It's like an orchestra. It's like a symphony. If I'm playing this beautiful piece of music, if I have one violin that's you're gonna have an and so you have to make sure. Yeah, so you got to make sure that it's all flowing and that it's all going accordingly. And that's something that is so hard to do, Barry. You know that, bro. You play.
No, and for me, I watch you and I say, okay, you're going to play with Mishka and Fedorov. Mm-hmm. I mean, if anybody wants to argue these facts, they can. I'm speaking from experience on and off the field. A lot of people that do podcasts and a lot of people that talk about paintball never played on these teams. I played on Russian Legion. I played on these teams. I grew up playing with these guys. I've played with you at the highest level of the sport. I can give you that insight. And I say that respectfully. I didn't say I played it at the highest level, me personally, but I did play at the highest level, right? So what my question to you is, why is it that you go to a team with Fedorov and Mishka, and those are two of the best players that have ever come out of Russia, and you guys can't pull it together event after event? Where's the inconsistency come from?
Yeah, shout out to Fedorov and Mishka. They are two of the greatest guys and greatest paintball players that you'll ever play alongside. It's sports, bro. It's sports.
But there's got to be a reason. I mean, you're a talented player, but you're also very smart. One of paintball's smartest players. You know that there's a disconnect between you and them from one side of the field to the other. Wouldn't you say that?
No, it's not a disconnect. It's just becoming better. And that's all we can do, right? In the connectivity and making sure that we have ultimate awareness of what's going on. Because that, like we've been going over, is everything. So we as humans, we're always on a mission of progression. We're always trying to be better. Every day you should be trying to, kill your yesterday's version of you and be a better version of yourself every day. So that's all we're going to do. Keep working harder for each other. I'm so blessed to be alongside with those guys. I'm so blessed to be on this team. And,
no, you're on a great team and you're on an organization that values you. But if we learn something from Oliver's podcast, you're playing a pro sport and you are a professional paintball player. You deserve to be paid like one, and you have to take care of your family, just like Oliver made the move. So I think you made the smart move. It's just interesting to me to watch you guys not dominate as
well. Let's see what happens. We got brand new paintball coming up. It's 2022.
I would hope so. I would hope so, because I'm raw with you. So raw, rugged, and real right now. Who's the best player in paintball? Is it you?
I'm not even going to speak on that. There's so
No,
many
no,
good
no, no.
paintball.
We need to know who the best. This is for paintball. This is why we need to know this. And
I
let me educate
totally
you on
understand, and I
this.
know
Is
I know
why
who
we
you are. I know who you are. You're very controversial. You know what I'm saying?
No, no, this is
And
not controversy. The fact we need to know this is for one reason only. Paintball needs to have a hierarchy so the lower divisional players know who to look up to. And we don't do a
okay,
good enough
then
job of
I'm gonna say Fedorov.
Federer's the best player in the world.
Yeah,
Number one, over Ryan
numero
Greenspan,
uno, numero
over,
uno,
over you.
numero uno.
Wow. And why is that?
Because he's elusive. The guy is like, and then he'll drop the hammer on you so hard, your head will spin. You know what I'm saying? This guy will dominate a side of the field. When he gets steamrolling down a side of the field, he doesn't miss, and he's going to knock your head off. And he's one of the best players that's ever played paintball, hands down.
Who would you say is the best players that ever played paintball in order, top five?
I'm not doing that.
We need to know there. This is important for the history and the education of paintball from
You've
a
already got you got
standpoint.
10 other people giving you their top fives. I'm not doing it. I gave you numero uno, Fedorov.
Okay, well then at least follow it up with who's the best other two players in paintball.
Ollie, because he still plays. And shout out to my boy Marcelo.
Where does Ollie play?
He plays in Bali. Ollie Bali. That's what they call him now. He's just running it over there.
You got to stop. Who's the best player in the NXL besides Fedorov?
It's not happening. Next
We
question.
need to know. This is important for paintball. And you need to realize that you're doing paintball a service by telling us, and you do us a disservice.
You know what? You're doing it a service. Thank you, Bear, for everything you do for paintball, dude. Without, where would we be? Where would this game be?
Amen. Finally, someone has some respect for me. Okay, but in all honesty, we need to know who are some of the top players in the game right now.
Oh, I mean, obviously you got, your Archies, your Ryans, Mouse, of course.
How strong is Mouse from a perspective of you who I would say is just as strong?
Is it world news about Mouse's move?
Saints?
Yeah.
Yeah, but we saw that coming. We saw that coming. A-Rod. Yeah. And listen, can I be honest with you? Because this is a current subject. This is not so much a podcast. This is like a news. So if anybody's watching this 10 years from now and Latin Saints isn't a team anymore and they turned into, some club in Tijuana, who knows? I don't know. But this is what we need to talk about for today's move. Is Mouse strong enough to lead a team? Is A-Rod strong enough to lead a team? These are the best weapons. But what we forget about pro paintball, and correct me if I'm wrong, it takes a team. It takes this connectivity. And it also takes a coach. And I don't know if a snake player coach like Brandon Short, along with a strong snake player, and along with a player who is very rambunctious on the field and doesn't play unified paintball, Alex Rodriguez, I don't know if that is a leadership team. They're missing that link.
Short is a very smart individual. I think he's going to do just fine. He's super intelligent when it comes to paintball, so I see him doing well there. And I think that it's going to take time. They have obviously Mouse, unbelievable talent, unbelievable player, unbelievable shot, all the way down the chart, dude. He's unarguably one of the best players in the world, and having him on the snake side or wherever you put him, you're going to get production out of that. Same with A-Rod. I think this is going to be a little bit better fit for A-Rod, to be honest. You can't cage up a guy like A-Rod. You have to keep him kind of in flow. You know what I'm saying? He's got to be in flow state. You can't lock him into a role. He has to kind of have. He's like playing smooth jazz out there. I
agree. I've watched it for years, and it's not bad. It's actually a testament to how good he is that he could play that type of paintball at the pro level, because most players would get destroyed doing that.
Yeah, true. So it's going to be interesting to see how they all link up. Like we said, you got to have a unit. You got to have everybody working together. They've got to really care about that process. And then I think if they do that, I don't see any reason why they don't make a Sunday and make, it for far in the tournament. If they just
does that team seem stronger than Houston Heat?
I don't know. Not just because they don't have the time, I would say no. You have to put that time in and grow together.
Got it. Now, Houston Heat being coached by the legendary Todd Martinez.
Legendary squad. They're going to be a great team to play.
Yeah, I think Latin Saints is actually healthy for paintball. It's going to be a new dominant squad that has money, so Impact and Houston Heat can't buy all the players like yourself, and we could spread the talent out and make the games even more interesting. It's great for paintball, and hopefully anybody that's watching this takes this in the right way. They are what paintball needs. So congrats to Latin Saints for sure on that. Yeah. What I want to jump into is the legendary Todd Martinez. played with Dynasty, played with the Avalanche, played with Aftershock, won everything there is to win, started a lot of these pro paintball players and trends, played with Aftermath with Mike Hinman, right? He's the coach of Heat, understands the game. He's probably still good enough to play at the top level, but he wants to take that role of coaching. What's it like being underneath Todd Martinez as your coach?
Dude, I was just watching videos of him today.
On
He's
Dirter.
insane. He's the best guy ever.
So was
Um,
I.
yeah, he was just like in this video, I was watching him talking about his energy and just like how being infectious out there. And truly, it is infectious for us as players on Heat. Having him as my coach is a dream come true. This guy is one of the best paintball players that's ever played this game and one of the most iconic, uh, personalities and just people on this earth, dude. He's just got a heart of gold and he cares about the program. And that is what a coach needs to do for their team. You want to instill that real care, that real heartfelt love for your squad, because they're gonna want to produce for you when you have that chemistry flowing. You got to make it to where your players have to really want to win for you. And he creates that kind of environment and that kind of love in the huddle. And we all want to go and get those big trophies for him and for the family, for the team, for everybody.
What's a normal practice look like for Heat? What are you guys doing in the morning? What are you doing in the afternoon? And what are you guys doing to actually get better? Or are you just running through the motions?
Of course. Yeah, we get there. Typically, we do 3-day practices on Friday, stretch, get into all the intricate shots, finding all the good off the break shots, looking at each bunker, looking at all those shots, and then getting into typically like situational stuff, running 2-on-2s, 3-on-3s, counter balanced field setups to where, they have positioning on this side, we have positioning on this side, different types of just situations. And then we'll get into playing games. Typically on Saturday and Sunday, we'll have a practice with the team, and we just try to, you want to give yourself as many looks as you possibly can, because when you get to the tournament, you're not going to be playing obviously the same type of style every time. So you need to know every kind of style. So setting yourself up, even if we don't win the point, that's not the concern. You don't want to win at practice. That's the last place you want to win. I'd much rather get beat up at practice and do all the wrong things and really learn the hard way, so when I show up at the tournament, I know exactly what's not going to work and what will work. So we'll set up situations where we kind of leverage ourselves in a poor way, where we're not even giving ourselves a good chance, just to see how we can fight out of those types of things. And then obviously, drawing up bread and butter stuff and how we think the field's going to play.
And out of Heat and Dynasty and Bob Longs and all these different teams you've played with over the years, who has the best practice regimen?
Um, I mean, Heat is up there with anybody. X Factor, Dynasty, we all practice pretty much the same way. We're all, working really hard, doing the extra days, doing the workouts, watching the film, even recording our own practices as well is something that's imperative. Even at divisional level, I highly recommend you need to do this. It's the most valuable thing that you'll ever do for your team and for yourself as a player. Have somebody, your girlfriend, a friend, anybody, pay them $40 to go out there for a few hours, set up a camera, and film everything. Get a good bird's eye view, because what you're going to see is everything you thought was happening wasn't actually happening. The way you thought the game was going wasn't actually the way the game was going. The way you should have been moving is completely different than what you were actually doing, but you're going to start to figure that out. You're going to have a third person perspective and eye on yourself, so you can really work through those different situations. But it's very important to film yourself as well for the practices.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, it's all
Yeah.
obviously a huge move that plays into why Heat wins. Going into NXLs, you get to the event, you guys get your roster, of who you guys are playing, your schedule, you see your bracket. What is the strategy as a team? Are you only watching those teams? Are you watching every team in the pro division? Are you looking at certain players? Explain to this concept to, even once again, even semi-pro players that maybe look at this the wrong way or don't look at it the way Heat looks at it with Todd Martinez leading the helm.
Yeah, you got to watch everybody, man. Obviously, you need to really focus in on your teams that you're going to play, but you also have to be super mindful to the fact that you need to soak up as many styles as you possibly can. Every player out there is playing a different style. So you need to watch all the players, watch all the styles. And then just like any of the best artists that have ever touched this planet, a Rembrandt, a Picasso, Da Vinci, Pollock, all these guys, they took from the best artists these pieces and they made their own amazing art. And that's how you become really good at something. You need to really digest a ton of information so that you can have a great standpoint, a wherewithal of how you want to navigate moving forward on the paintball field, off the paintball field. I mean, even just watch how teams work together off the paintball field too. How are teams moving together? How are they clicked up? Are they all cohesive, or what's going on here? Because that really matters too. In the, it's like a subconscious paradigm that we're all playing a part of too, and you really got to navigate all of it with supreme professionalism and take as much information in as you can so that you can produce the best product possible for yourself.
Yeah, and obviously that product, comes with a win, comes with a
Yeah,
big tournament win. Now,
that's right.
playing with Alex Fraige, playing with Ryan Greenspan,
Yep.
I don't think you ever played with Oliver. I don't think
Yeah, I
you
did
actually.
for quite a while.
Well, on what team?
On Dynasty, I got on Dynasty in
Oh yeah,
2013.
when you were first on Dynasty.
We've won. Me and Ollie have won quite a few tournaments together. Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, so that first Dynasty roundabout that you had, and then you left and came back.
No, I was with Dynasty for 8 years.
No, but you played with another team in between that.
No, no, Dynasty all the way through.
You
Eight
take a
years.
break. I think you took a
Nope.
break.
I didn't take a break. No
Okay, so
breaks.
then you just weren't good because you weren't on my radar. So in between that, because I think I'm confusing with our European events that we played because we
Yeah.
played with so many teams. So I remember you playing in Europe,
Yep.
which was
That's
some of
right.
the best.
I was with the Expendables. We did that whole thing, and then yeah. So I was out there in Europe too.
Yeah, and I remember blasting around with you
Oh yeah.
in Europe, and we ran around and we did what we needed to do in Europe. Everybody has those fun stories. I get it,
Yeah.
but this is really more for people to understand the insight behind your mind. I mean, I think those cool stories are something that need to happen live in person when we're together, and so people can
Yeah.
understand that rock star mentality of paintball we talk about. Maybe if we had some clips, I think that that's an important part. But going
Yeah.
into this dynasty part with Oliver, and I do remember the event you won with him where you closed out that game in the finals and you ran down the middle and you're holding your gun the way you do and you look all lean and mean. Shout out to HGH. But
Get
when
out of here,
that's how
dude.
you stayed healthy for 10 years. But listen, when you won, you played with these guys, which one of these dynasty players had the most impact? Which one can you look at and say he really is the sensei that gave everybody their black belt? Whether those people end up passing their sensei is one thing or another, but who is that OG on dynasty that you could say, the nucleus?
Yeah. Let me just put it out here boldly. Listen, I did drink some of my wife's breast milk when she was having our children. You know what I'm saying? So that would be the only thing that I could think of that would have human growth hormone in it is my wife's breast milk. But that's all natural. You know what I'm saying? So I had the popsicles, I had the juices. It was a whole thing. But that we're living that all natural life. You know what I'm saying? But back to your question, the sensei is obviously Alex Fraige. He's amazing.
Wow, I was not expecting you to say that. Why is that?
He's just a great guy. He's an amazing person all the way around, and he has these really unique ways of looking at a paintball field and really unique, thought provoking ways of navigating situations on a paintball field. Like what you thought you should have been doing, actually, the opposite is what you should do. And he'll be the first one. Like, I've had some really great conversations with him about, just playing paintball and how we should play paintball and different ideas on how to navigate out there. And he's just really thought provoking. And he's just got such a big heart for paintball, and it's a beautiful thing to see.
And what makes him so strong at this age to still be winning MVP barrels and smoking people? And, I mean, it's a feat of its own at his level to still be able to play, at that age.
Well, he's mega minded, dude. He's smart. He's really smart. So he knows how
Do you
to.
believe that smart, educated paintball can play forever? How people talk about that in paintball, like that age doesn't really matter in our sport?
I think so. I think that even as Alex ages into his 40s, I think we can still see him as a crucial role player, playing a corner, playing an insert or a back spot, and helping his team not only with being on the field, but just being that mind as well, nurturing the future of the game and giving them the tools that they need to be top level players. Because he truly has helped a lot of people become really good at paintball.
Of course, I mean, Dynasty's bred more players than I would say anybody else besides Mike Hinman.
Yeah.
Going into 2022 season, Who are you most excited to play against? Who's gotten your number a few times? Who can we expect a good battle from when we see them on the other side of the field from you?
Um, I'm excited to play everybody. Obviously, X Factor is always some really fun games, so we're excited to play X. Obviously, Dynasty.
Is it because X Factor has your number?
They beat us at the last tournament, so we definitely want to, come in and get the W over them. But it's just a fun game, dude. Honestly, I enjoy playing against New York Extreme and all those guys. I
How
enjoy
good is
playing.
New York Extreme?
They're not bad. They'll shoot you. You know, they're
What is
good.
what does they're not bad mean?
They they made it to, I think they made it to Sunday a couple times last season, and
Okay.
they're right there. It's just I think that once they can harness that energy a little bit more inside the net, and then stay a little more poised on the in the pits, and really stay hyper focused on the mission, I think we're going to see a lot of big production come out of that organization. But they have
Yep.
all the tools. They got great players, and they love paintball, and they got passion. So it's just a fun organization all the way around. They're one of my favorite teams to watch play paintball.
Now, a team like Revo, who has been at the height of paintball for the last couple of years, and they're always a top like six team, and they're always
Yeah.
just like right there, but never can make the hump. Oliver put it well, and I always go back to him just because he has great insight on team. He's built pro teams himself,
Mhm.
as a core of these teams. He always talks about this idea of you need that one or two players that just help you make that move. You need that one player that can rally the team in those moments. Like you said, harness that energy on the field. It's not about this rah-rah nonsense off the field. Why is it, do you think, like a team like Revo, even though they have those players, they can't pull it together to win an event or take a top three?
I honestly don't know enough about the intricacies about the guys, but damn, dude, those guys are good paintball players, man, and they're right there. Like, there's
Mm-hmm.
no reason that they can't make it into a finals game and win a tournament.
Got it.
It's just, I think that their depth was a little bit low from what I remember.
Mm-hmm.
Um, they had some injuries, and that kind of hurt them going into that quarterfinals. I think that was Chicago when they played that event. And so maybe if they just had a couple more players that could make them a little bit deeper and just work on, it's something you have to learn to win. Winning is something that is learned. Once you've tasted it a couple times, 3 times, 4 times, you figure out that there's a way to win. There's a
What was your favorite event you ever won? Sorry to cut you off.
Dude, I mean, Huntington Beach is up there because Dynasty always won Huntington Beach. So to win that with Oakland, we won one of the Huntington Beach Pro events, was pretty
You won
huge.
it with Oakland Blast, by the way, with Gary Show's son. I
Yeah,
was there.
yeah,
Yeah, I remember. We
yeah,
we took second at that event. I was playing with the boys,
yeah. Yep.
and I remember watching you because me and you were talking in the pits before, and I
Yeah.
remember you were wearing these doctor gloves before anybody was wearing these doctor gloves. And I remember walking up to you and I'm like, bro, those are so lame. And you're like, well, you're not about to play for first place in the pro division. You're playing semi-pro. And I was like, God damn, that kind of hurt. And then we were just talking nonsense and jive and you went
Yeah.
out there and you kind of smoked everybody down. Tyler, what is one of the reasons though that even though you consistently win and you're consistently at the top of the game, all joking aside, that you're still so humble and you still get better and better? Like, we're seeing a better Tyler every year. And with guys like Marcelo or guys like Greenspan, they're really good and they're really consistent next level jump of their play, similar to like what Oliver said about Archie and Marcelo. It's nothing bad, but why is it that you're taking it to a new level every year and they kind of stay consistent, still at the top of the game, but different?
Yeah, I think Marsh and Ryan are always pushing the boundaries too. I gotta show love for them. But dude, I don't even know, Bear. I'm crazy about this, dude. So I love what I do, man, and I love this community. I love paintball. I love the possibilities of this game, and that really drives my gears to just give everything I can in every moment. Not only for myself but for my family. I have 2 beautiful sons sitting in the room next door to me right here. I got a beautiful wife. I got so many things that I care about, and the people on my team too. I care immensely about my organization and making sure that we get everything where it needs to be. I love it, dude. I want to have fun and keep playing paintball, and that just keeps me hungry to do better.
Okay, so going into a quick wrap up as we're getting close to the end of this full experience
I got
podcast, and
some questions for you too. Since you don't want to come on PTG, I got questions for you.
we will give you a question. Go ahead, ask away.
All right. I want to know. Let's see here. What's my best question? I don't want to mess this up. I want to know about a time that you failed in one of your businesses and how you overcame one of those crazy moments to become even better at what you do. Because you
Yeah.
obviously are really good at what you do.
I think a perfect parallel to this is look at paintball, for example. I never played on the best teams and won on the best teams, on all the best teams. And I chose to jump around and have fun with paintball and play every event around the world in every league with every best paintball player. I grew up with every best paintball player that still runs the game.
Shout out to your dad one time. Shout out to Gio one time.
Shout out to G for Hollywood Sports and SE Village and allowing me to step into that role. And that was the biggest move, which was I was about to get into, is my dad put me in a position to say, listen, these are your parts. You're with to the next level. And I always took that as a sign of respect. So I'm like, instead of putting my value and time into being a better paintball player, I'm going to play paintball for fun. And I'm going to put my value into time into building the best parts in the world, which we do over 500 a year, which we're leading the industry in terms of development and how the game is played. Shout out to G for inventing the tournament game of Hyperball. And at the same time, bringing the sport to a new level that no one's ever seen. You can add up every company in paintball and every ambassador, and I brought in more influencers, more celebrities, more talent to play this game for the first time than anybody else. So I don't care if you're John. Yeah, I don't care if you're John.
Doubt about it that you have brought.
It don't matter who you think you are. We've done it better. And I say that respectfully. I'm not trying to be cocky. I'm not trying to be arrogant. I'm just trying to say that's what I put my time into. So when paintball players come at me like, oh, you're trying to be a pro paintball player again.
My question was a time that you failed, and how you overcame it. And more specifically, I'm talking about like with I think a time that I failed was when myself and Yaya were trying out for Russian Legion in New York. We both flew in. He got cut. I made the team, and then I just didn't perform at the event. And so going into World Cup, they said, yo, hey, you didn't really perform. You played good, but we're not going to give you a contract so you could come to World Cup, but you're not going to play. And I thought for the first moment, that was the first time where I was like, okay, well, it made you stronger. It makes you better.
If I'm not going to go to this event and play, then I'm not going to go, and I'm going to go play on another team. And then what I do, I went to Australia and smashed Marcelo in the prelims at the Super 7. Shout out to Michael Wybrew. That's what I do. I bounce back harder.
Shout out.
Shout out to Marcelo.
Shout out to one
of the best players to ever play the game. I give him a lot of crap, but I grew up with the kid. We played a lot of events. He still hates me because I benched him in the finals.
He does not hate you, dude.
He hates me because I benched him in the finals at CalJam. It was a 3-man. We were playing a team called LTZ, and I benched Marcelo for Jordan King, and Jordan King got shot off the break, and Marcelo never lets me let me live.
Dude. He loves you so much. And shout out to Yaya. Yaya is going to be stunting 2022. He just moved to it.
Listen, Yaya for some reason is mad at me because he says I talk about him, but I'm like, bro, you're a great guy, but your name's Yaya, so of course I'm going to throw a few jokes your way. It's like, yeah.
Here,
you know what I mean? What up? I'll give you one more question before we go.
No, hit me with it. We gotta wrap this up pretty soon.
Yeah, we're done here. Listen, the Full Experience Podcast, Tyler, in all honesty, we had some fun. We talked loud. And I think everybody in paintball knows by now I like to talk loud and have fun. And I like to have fun with this. I think that's the most important thing. And one thing I appreciate about you is you have fun on the field too. You play with a very free style characteristic. You have this A-Rod-ish style to you, but a little bit more edged and a little bit more polished. But at the same time, you could be Oliver. You lead teams. You've always known I've been tremendously fond of you. I've been trying to get you on here for a minute, but I know you had prior duties due to sponsorship, and they didn't let you come on the Full Experience Podcast.
No, that is not true either. Literally duties. I have 2 children that I like. It's nonstop for me, bro. My life is crazy.
If you could snap shoot against Ryan 10 years, then you can come on a podcast with me. Jesus Christ, dude. But in all honesty, I think we're excited for one thing, and that's to see you lead the pro division in 2022 on Heat and show paintball world what this pro division is. I think you're a tremendous icon in the game in terms of being an actual idol, being a role model. You're healthy, you're drug free. Hopefully you don't take any more steroids, but like you don't drink.
Just to be clear, I have never taken steroids. A little breast milk is not going to hurt anybody.
Okay, I just want to make sure. But that's what I wanted to give to you on this podcast, and a reason why I wanted to share this little conversation you. And I think players are going to learn a lot from you. You give great insight. So hopefully you're able to carry that on through the year and continuously build this paintball community, especially with your podcast. So thank you for coming on here. Before I go, who is the worst player in the league you've played against?
I have no clue, dude.
You got to say one name. I cannot believe you would say Kyle Spica. You can't just, I mean, listen, Kyle's a good kid and he doesn't deserve that. But if it's Kyle Spica, it's Kyle Spica. Full experience, Harmon.
I love you, Kyle.